The next few lessons are going to be about suspended or sus chords. Now, sus chords are a special type of chord. And really what we're doing is we're taking the 3 of our basic chord and we're moving it to either 2 or 4. We're going to look at each of these shapes in the next couple videos, but in this one, let's talk about why suspended chords are useful to know. On the one hand, suspended chords can help us keep one stagnant chord interesting. If there's a part of a song, and this happens frequently, where you need to play one chord for a long time, that can get very monotonous and boring. Suspended chords help us keep a single chord interesting. For example, let's say we need to play a C chord. And we need to play that C chord, I don't know, 8 times in a row. Oh man. That's 4. That's 5. That's 6. I mean, it drags on. Suspended chords help us keep that interesting. Let's give a listen to what it sounds like, and then we'll go learn the shapes. That was 8 times right there, and it moves much quicker than when we were just hanging on that C. The second reason to learn suspended chords is that they can help you resolve really well. If I'm playing a chord progression that goes C, G, A minor, F, and lands on C, or that would be 1, 5, 6, 4, back to 1, let's listen without a suspended chord. That's pretty nice. Now let's try it with a suspended chord to finish. So we'll suspend the C and then play a regular C. Or we could do something like this. It's a nice way to finish a progression. We're going to start by learning a sus2 chord. Now, these sus chords, again, we're moving the 3 in a chord to either 2 or 4. So instead of playing 1, 3, and 5, with a sus2 chord we would play 1, 2, and 5, pulling the notes again out of a key. Which means if we're playing in the key of C, or we're playing a C chord, instead of playing C, E, and G, we would play C, D, and G. You'll notice from a major chord, we're moving the 3 down by a whole step. So if I want to play a C sus2, playing right there. If I want to play an F sus2, well again, I'd take my 3 and I'd move it down by a whole step. This changes a little bit if we're moving to a sus2 from a minor chord. Notice here that the big difference between a major chord and a minor chord is that we're moving the middle note down by 1, from an E to an E flat. Major to minor depends on the middle note, because the middle note changes either end of the interval, right? One gets larger and the other gets smaller, or vice versa. So when we're moving from a major chord to a sus2, our middle note would move down a whole step. If we're moving there from a minor chord, we'd be playing the same exact notes, but if we're going to change it and relate it to our chord, now we're moving down by a half step. Minor to major. Let's take a look at a sus4 chord. So now in this case, we'd be taking 1, 3, and 5, which for the example C chord we've been using is C, E, and G. And now we're moving that 3 up, so it's 1, 4, and 5. Or in this case, C, F, and G. From our major chord, you'll notice we're moving up by a half step. Which means that if we're playing something like an F chord, and we want to change it to a sus4, we wouldn't move our middle note up a whole step. Even though it looks right, it doesn't sound right. We want to move our middle note up by a half step, which in this case would be a black key. If we're moving to our sus4 from a minor chord, again, remember that 3, that middle note is moved. So now we're moving up by a whole step. So remember, a major chord moving to sus4, we're moving up by a half step. A minor chord moving to sus4, we're moving up by a whole step. sus2 and sus4 are the same shapes, no matter if you're moving from a major or minor. We're only changing how far we're moving to get there.